Just your overall thoughts. It did seem like just every fight was incredible tonight.
Yeah, I think that the first fight of the night set the tone. When you see a fight like that and you're in the back watching, you're like, oh, shit. You know what I mean? That's why to be the main event, guys, that a ton of pressure. I mean, every fight tonight was awesome. Yeah, I don't even know what to say other than it was an amazing day.
You mentioned it, the main event, Jaime, like you said, it was impossible to live up to everything that was there. And giving him a contract, I mean, did you have any concerns or did you say, yeah, the guy deserves it? It was almost just like, how do I turn anybody down tonight?
No, it's not. Listen, I'll turn people down in a minute. I think that this kid is 24 years old. He obviously looked like the more experienced fighter, fought a tough, durable kid, and looked good everywhere he went. You know what I mean? A couple of times I thought he had him hurt and, went to the ground with him. I was like, oh, he's going to, but he beat the shit out of him on the ground. I mean, he literally was trying to finish him the whole time on the ground. Never once did that kid not try to finish that fight. And I thought he looked damn good doing it, especially for a kid that's only 24 years old. You know how I am with the younger guys. Maybe he needs more experience. I didn't think so. Thought that this kid grinded out a technical, impressive win. And if the rest of the show didn't fight like absolute maniacs tonight, that would have been a great fight.
It looked more impressive at that point. Yeah. Does he need to change the tattoo on his neck? Or are you going to get him to get that to a UFC?
You can turn that F into a U.
It wouldn't take too long. As you said, Jonathan, Brazilian heavyweight, massive KO. Easy call, right? I mean,
yep.
Nothing to that.
Everything was an easy call tonight. I mean, there was nothing about any performance tonight that didn't make me, and I gave Tanner his win money. Patricia got her win money. AJ's getting his win money. It was an amazing night.
You mentioned all three of those getting win money. Did you consider any losers getting contracts tonight? Because we were kind of talking about that tonight. Some of those fights were so insane.
No, I think that, all of these kids are, and this guy's not a kid. He's 31 years old, this Tanner guy, but he goes out and, he gets another win. Definitely look at this kid. And again, he's a kid you would definitely bring in, if somebody fell out or something like that. You know what you're going to get with this kid. Tanner wants to win. This guy wants to win. I love people that show up and show you that they're here to win.
Yeah. You mentioned Jonathan's kickboxing record as well. It seems like we're getting a lot of kickboxers coming in lately. Do you credit that to Israel Adesanya and the success he had? Or why do you think we're seeing more of these former Glory guys or former, that are saying, I want to do MMA now?
Money. There's money. I mean, if you had to look at Israel Adesanya and say, wow, I've been in kickboxing for however many years and how much money have I made, then you look at Israel.
Yeah. Stephen Wynn, you mentioned it, man. The guy was
Pereira too.
Pereira as well.
Yeah.
Stephen Wynn looked phenomenal. I mean, it said no-brainer. I want to ask you about the finish there because it was weird. It almost got finished at the end of the first round.
Should have been finished at the end of the first round.
You think so?
100%. That kid was hurt. You know what I mean? And I was freaking out a little bit. I was like, come on, ref. Stop this fight, man. It's just, the kid's face was, if that went a third round, that kid wouldn't have had a face. I mean, it was bad. So I think it was a late stoppage, but I'm glad he stopped it when he did.
Nice. Just want to ask you a few outside tonight. Obviously, this was amazing. You had a busy morning as well, right? So I guess, can you talk about the significance of what happened today, the TKO group officially merging, all that? I mean, from your point of view, what's the significance of this new organization?
Yeah, this kind of stuff I usually just, just going to keep doing what I do, and we're going to do what we do at the UFC. And listen, at the end of the day, this is like one of the biggest mergers in the history of sports. We've been kicking ass forever, however many years now. The WWE is doing well. And, I say this to you guys every year, but this just takes the whole sport and everything to a whole different level. And, I flew out to that thing last night and did it this morning, and it was actually really, really cool. It was cool to be a part of, and I'm excited about the future and what we're going to do. And I always am, regardless. But after this merger, we're so much more powerful than we were yesterday.
Yeah. I read that Vince had worked into his contract that he's the executive chair until his death, resignation, or incapacity. I thought that was interesting. Did you get anything worked into your deal?
I don't give a shit about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Even the CEO thing, it's a lateral move for me. I run everything that happens here. Everything that goes on here, I determine. So nothing has changed. It's just 3 letters instead of, but I'm the CEO and president of the UFC now. But nothing changes. We're just going to continue to kick ass like we do every single year. And for people, that are fighters or media or whoever is it, this just takes this whole thing to another level and so much bigger and so much more powerful. And when you think about all the things that I want to do before my time is up here, today made that a lot easier and a lot more doable. These PIs that we open, they're not cheap. They're very expensive to run, but I believe truly that they are the future of the sport. This is what's going to make the sport get bigger. Even if you train at a PI as a kid, we go into Africa, we go into Mexico City and other places that I want to do this. And you grow up as a kid training in one of these PIs around the world. You might not become a fighter, but you'll become a trainer, or, you will have something to do with the sport and touch the sport in some way to help it grow.
You used to never say before my time is up, and now you've started to say that a little bit more.
Well, I'm 54 years old. I mean, I never said my time was up when I was 40, and you know what I mean? When I look at somebody's posts, everybody's talking about how fucking old I look. I am fucking old. That's how this works. I'm older today than I fucking was yesterday. That's how it works. But I feel like I'm fucking 25 again. I've been taking my health serious. I feel great. And, when you start talking about my time is up here, the last 20 years have gone by like this. How fast are the next 20 going to go? So there's still a lot of work to do. And, today was a really, really big day for the sport.
That's awesome. Last couple ones for me. I wanted to ask you about Australia. Sean Strickland came in after you did at the post-fight press conference. And he's like, boy, I bet Dana and Hunter are saying, we messed up here. What do we got this guy as a UFC champion? So Sean is obviously an interesting character. It carries himself in an interesting way. What do you think about him representing the brand and carrying the UFC belt around?
Listen, it is what it is. We obviously put him in that position, and he went in and delivered and won the fight, and he's the champ now. So, we knew you know what you're getting when you get him. This is no surprise, no shock. Good for him. He went. Listen, you could tell that night after that first round. I mean, he would go back to his corner and maybe listen to his corner for 15 seconds, and that was it. He was up and ready to go. He felt it. He felt he was going to win that night.
Yeah, it was awesome to see his body language. Last thing, you were asked about a rematch. You said that sounds right. But you got, Drickus out there saying, hey, what about me? You got Hamzat and Costa coming up in Abu Dhabi. You had Jared Cannonier there as a backup. So all those seem like viable options. Are you considering all those, or do you still feel like the fight to make is the rematch?
Well, I think if you remember that night, people said, well, what do you think? You think it's a rematch? I said, yeah, the rematch sounds great. Never did I say. I saw the stupid fucking shit that was written, by all these stupid fucking websites. Never once did I say, yes, we're going to fucking do this rematch. I said, yeah, the rematch, we'll see what happens. There's obviously lots of options out there, and we'll see what happens. But yes, I'm still not opposed to an Israel rematch. We'll see how it goes.
Hi, Dana.
Hey.
I want to ask a little bit. I know the narrative with Sean is always like, what's he going to say? What's he going to do? But when he won the title, his post-fight speech was very moving, very inspirational. Is there a side of Sean that we aren't seeing and maybe we're starting to see?
I agree. I think that, 2 weeks before that, we were in Boston. And I asked the media, there were 70 media members at the press conference, how many people thought that was going to be the outcome? And one guy raised his hand out of 70 media. If I had done that in Australia, nobody would raise their hand, and if they did, they'd be lying. So I think that going into that fight, Strickland knew he was a huge underdog in that fight, and I think that him winning the title was super emotional for him. And once he got time to get back and let it sink in, and he showed up to the press conference, he was Sean Strickland again. But yeah, I mean, I think it was a cool moment for him where he realized that no matter how crazy he talks and all the things that he says, all the hard work and dedication he put into this sport, he reached it that night. He did what nobody thought he could do. The odds makers had him a 7-1 underdog. He went out and he did it. And, you know, even when you're sitting there, I'm sure he was sitting there waiting for this, you know, am I going to get fucked by the judges? Are they going to give it to Izzy? We're in Australia. And once it came out that he was the winner and he was the new world champion, you know, we all saw a side to him that we'd never seen before. It was cool.
And on that note, do you think that maybe there's too much attention being paid to Izzy's poor performance and not enough towards Sean's good performance?
No, I think there's two sides to that. Listen, Izzy did not look good that night. He looked slow. He looked lethargic. He looked whatever. And, you know, what a lot of people are saying, that's right. But Strickland felt it, knew it, stayed right in his face, and went after it. And you, like I was just telling, you know, him earlier, it's like he fucking felt it. And he couldn't wait to get back out of that corner, to get back in there and win that title.
And I've got to ask a McGregor question. I'm sure you're sick and tired of answering these questions.
But here's the other thing, too. When you have a champion that's been as dominant and as good as Israel has, it's normal to when they lose to say, wow, he didn't look right tonight and all that good shit. Conor McGregor.
He called out Alexander Volkanovski, and he also said he'd like to fight at 185. I'm wondering which one of those options is more likely to happen.
I have no clue. We'll see. Listen, when Conor is back and we announce that Conor is fighting, we'll look at the landscape, see who's around, what's going on, and we'll figure out who he's going to fight next.
So are you saying it's probably maybe not?
I'm not saying a fucking thing, because every jackass fucking website will be writing dumb shit tomorrow that I didn't say, as usual.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dana, I just got one. If we can get your thoughts on it. Epstein, Lawrence said something to ESPN today. He said, where we want to get is where every UFC fan is a WWE fan, and every WWE fan is a UFC fan. Do you see similarities in the fan base, and how achievable is that goal?
Lawrence, I love you. One of the dumbest statements of all time. Yeah, I don't know why he said that. I don't even know what to say to that. No. There's some crossover. Some people like WWE, some people like UFC, some people like both. I don't think there's ever going to be a day where we turn every UFC fan into a WWE fan or every WWE fan. What's beautiful about the synergy between these two fan bases is they are very completely opposite. You know, there's very little crossover. And again, maybe he was misquoted. I hope that's the case, because I could not disagree with him more. Yeah.
Over here?
Yep.
We've seen fighters make 2 appearances on the Contender Series before, but it's pretty rare when we see guys make 3 appearances. After seeing what Stephen Gwynn did tonight, what do you make of that? I mean, he overcame a bunch of struggles, I'm sure, to get to this point and finally get that UFC contract.
You know, when you're, anything in life, but especially in sports, when you can overcome adversity and stay focused and keep your eye on the prize and what it is you want, and you're talented enough, you can be him tonight. So I love that stuff, and I'm really happy for him, and that's what this show is all about.
Yeah, and I know you touched up on this a bit after the fights in Australia, but Laura Sanko made history at UFC 293, becoming the first female in the modern era to be part of the UFC pay-per-view commentary team. How was it like seeing the progress she has made throughout the years, and as she made her way up to this, and how is that achievement like for the
Laura's a beast. So if you took what you just said about Steven and applied it to Laura, you know what I mean? She has worked so hard. I say this all the time. The key to being successful in life is knowing what you want to do. Once you know who you are and you know exactly what it is you want to do, you get up every day and you grind until you get it. And she is the perfect example of that. And what she's done in such a short amount of time is amazing. And she's so talented. I was talking to DC flew home with me today. So we were talking on the plane, and he was talking about how, his first time showing up to the Contender Series, he wasn't as prepared as he probably should have been, and how Laura was just crushing him in the meeting for running circles around him. She knew everything about every kid here, and she watched every single fight that you could watch on all the kids that were on the card. And she's just, you know, she's a true professional. She knows, she's like the Ronda Rousey, you know, of commentating. She knows she's first. She knows she's carrying the banner for women to break into this role. And she's doing everything she can to make sure that, you know, she always is the best that she can possibly be.
Would you say she's like one of the future stables of a UFC pay-per-view commentary team?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. She's a absolute pro and a beast.
Awesome. And I had a question about UFC 295. I mean, looks like we're still waiting on that co-main update. Do you have an update on that?
Yeah, I didn't get to do shit today. I got home and had a bunch of other stuff fly at me, so we didn't even get to do matchmaking today. So I barely got here on time. But, yeah, nothing yet.
Do you think it's still looking like Edwards and Covington, or?
Oh, I don't know yet. I'll let you know as soon as I know.
Thank you.
If it was that easy, I'd just fucking announce it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Dana, right over here. Dana, I was wondering, as a Vegas local, as someone who runs a sports company, I just wanted your reaction to what's going on. A lot of the casinos, you can't bet. A bunch of machines are down. Just what's your reaction to seeing it happen in the city?
Oh, I didn't even know that. Why? What's wrong?
Cyber attacks.
Huh? Cyber attack?
Yeah.
On MGM?
MGM. Yeah, like room keys not working, because, games not working.
I had no idea. I've been kind of busy lately. I haven't been paying attention to other guys' businesses, but yeah, that's weird.
And then I want to ask Alexa Grasso, obviously fighting this Saturday. She had talked about it. She hopes the Independence Day card becomes an annual thing. Obviously, fans are still hoping for an event in Mexico. I just want to know, you know, fans will say, hey, not as many Mexican champions. Is it still a priority to the UFC? Just what is your response about going back to the market and, you know, just that for those fans?
I would say that those fans that are saying that must not be reading or listening to anything that I'm saying. I've been beating the Mexico drum now for months. I literally switched everything around so that we could do this fight on Mexican Independence Day. We're opening a PI in Mexico City, for those of you that didn't know that and haven't heard. And I'm planning on going to Mexico City here soon and, you know, for the grand opening. And then, doing an event in Mexico City also soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Yeah. Could not be more invested in Mexico than I am right now.
Dana, over here.
Yep.
Just to go off of the Noche UFC and Alexa Grasso, in her rematch with Valentina Shevchenko, just kind of curious your thoughts on this rematch, how it might be different, your excitement level for a fight of this magnitude coming up this weekend.
What's the question?
Just your thoughts on kind of the main event this week.
Well, I love it. I made it.
Well, how different it might be, you know? It's a very unique rematch. Valentina coming
Yeah.
from her first loss at flyweight.
You're talking about the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world for females, the first ever female Mexican world champion, taking on one of the greatest female fighters ever, one of the greatest fighters of all time. She already beat her once, so the rematch is fucking awesome and very exciting for that division, and obviously very exciting for Mexico.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it does speak a lot about the division, how far it's come in the last couple of years. You know, it's maybe started off a little bit slow, but I'm curious where you would rank flyweight for the women right now amongst, you know, the women's divisions you have. Do you think it's become the best one at this point?
That what?
The flyweight division for the women, if it's become the best out of the women's division?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good fights coming up in that division right now. I mean, realistically, if you look at all the divisions right now, there's some good fights. Okay? There's a lot of good stuff. We were just going through matchmaking. I said this recently, but and every year I go, holy shit, how are we going to beat this year? And then as we start planning out the end of the year going into next year, it's like, here we go again. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Definitely. And I just want to ask one thing about Power Slap, too, just because I know things are looking real good. You're really happy with it. But I'm curious, you know, when you look ahead, like, you get all these detractors, people saying it sucks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
They said the same shit about the UFC, too.
well, that's why I'm curious, like, what exactly you see the longevity of Power Slap being.
Yeah. This thing's so big, it's fucking bananas. I mean, I could throw so much shit at you on how I've never been a part of something so successful in such a short amount of time. And all the other stuff that we're working on right now, sanctioning, all these states are going to start opening up and sanctioning, and then we'll start taking it on the road and doing live gates. It's a global sport in 7 months. The numbers that we're pulling out of these other countries, we're working on season 2 right now, and we got some fun guys coming in from around the world for season 2. We're working on where we're doing season 3. The video game was the biggest, test that the company had ever done, and they do all the online video games, doing 60,000 downloads a day. Sponsorship off the charts, and the list goes on and on and on. It's actually been really fun for me.
All right, cool. Thanks, Dana.
Thanks.
Hey, Dana. Hey.
Yep.
With the formation of TKO, Stephanie McMahon said last year that WWE was looking at boxing. You've dabbled with the idea before. Is there room in the organization for a boxing company?
Yeah.
Is it one you would create, or one that TKO would look to buy an existing company?
I would create.
Could you elaborate?
Huh?
Could you elaborate?
No.
With you've got a show on September 16th, like Mexican Independence Day and Cinco de Mayo are so closely associated with boxing and Mexican fighters and Floyd Mayweather. Can we see that going forward, where UFC is going head-to-head with boxing for these key dates in the calendar? Because TGB Promotions and Premier Boxing Champions did have that date at the T-Mobile Arena, but they've now gone to September 30th for the Canelo-Jamel Charlo event.
Yeah, I mean, for the last however many years, sometimes we end up battling over the same dates, but it always works out. It's not like there's going to be any, listen, we go pretty much every Saturday. So we're going to run into other things.
Sure. One more on Sean Strickland. It looked like he put out a video where he might have already broken the UFC belt and he was putting it back together with duct tape. Had you seen that?
I have not. Plan on seeing lots of things over the next several months, though.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Dana?
Yeah.
Can you share what you went back and talked with Casey Tanner and AJ Cunningham? Obviously, you gave them their win money, but can you share what you told them?
Just respect, man. So much respect. And you know how I feel about this show. And you know how I feel about the matchmaking of this show. And when these guys show up and just do what these kids did tonight, it's fucking awesome. I thought tonight was the first night that I've ever walked up into the octagon during the Contender Series. Apparently, Little Miss Know-It-All said it was the second time that I've done it. But, yeah, I love this shit. Love it.
Sean Strickland's post-fight interview got 2.6 million views, which is one of the largest it's in quite some time. What do you think that is? Is it just people wondering what the hell he's going to say, or is it just the star power?
2.6 million views on what?
On YouTube, his Sean Strickland's post-fight interview.
His octagon interview.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. So on Instagram, I have 8.3 million followers. Me wrapping the belt on him did 16 million views. Yeah, so DC was telling me on the flight back, he did interviews with him on his YouTube channel, and it was the biggest he's ever done or something like that. And, yeah, if you saw, there was a lot of hype around Strickland early. He lost a couple, hype kind of died down, he came back, and he won the world title, and people are fascinated again.
Do you think it's just people are wondering what the hell is going to come out of his mouth, or is it star power?
I don't know. I just think I think people love an underdog. He was such a big underdog in that fight. He came out and won, and like she was saying earlier, people are like, "Oh, don't take away the fact that Strickland won the fight," and yeah, good for him. I love that shit. I love the support he's getting. It's great.
Were you surprised that Israel Adesanya didn't speak at the press conference? He came in, said something, and then dipped?
Yeah, so I asked him, I told you guys that night, I asked him in the octagon, I said, "You okay?" He said, "I'll talk to you later." I bumped into him in the back, and he told me about as much as he told you. So, yeah, it was strange.
And then finally, was there any communication to try and get Cain Velasquez at the event this weekend?
Was there any what?
Was there any communication of trying to get Cain Velasquez at the Noche UFC
event this weekend?
I don't think so. Kane was in town. We just shot something recently, and he was here. I don't know if he's still here. Or, yeah, I have no idea.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, UFC Noche.
Well, look who flew in for the
why not,
Contender
right?
Series.
Yeah, I'm actually leaving right afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
For tonight. In terms of UFC Noche, is that going to be an annual event? Like, are you going to book the arena every year for that particular date?
Well, the question is, do we continue to do that date? Do we do Cinco de Mayo? Do we bounce around? I don't know yet. This is our first one. We'll see how this year plays out as far as Mexico goes, and I don't know. We'll go from there.
Have you heard anything in terms of people coming in for the event from Mexico?
Have I heard that people?
Like in terms of the numbers, is it going to be a massive amount of people that are coming in specifically for the event?
I have no idea. I would assume that there are lots of Mexicans coming to the event on the Yeah, I would imagine. I don't have a tally of how many are coming over to see the fight, though.
You guys keep good metrics. And last one for you. You mentioned kickboxing and kickboxers coming over to do MMA because there's more money and more lucrative. Every time you come up with, doing boxing events, why not just go right into kickboxing? There seems to be much less of a barrier of entry here in North America. And we often see fans, there's a lot of grappling involved in MMA. They kind of rip it and they want to see action fights and striking. And when you watch Glory Kickboxing, K1, the action is unreal. Why not delve into that area where there's, again, a bit less of a barrier of entry, less sanctions, etc.?
It never worked. Never worked. For whatever reason, kickboxing never worked. So back in the 80s, when I was a kid, I was a huge boxing fan. And kickboxing used to be on ESPN. They used to call it the kick of the 80s. And then it was going to be the something of the 90s. And then we went into the 2000s. And, it never took off. Tell me the last time you saw a big kickboxing match, and there's been plenty of big fights with big kickboxers that's pulled big gates and the world cared and everybody wanted to tune in. It's never happened since the 80s.
Yeah, just in the Netherlands, they have big events every in the Netherlands, they have Glory Collision. It seems to do really well, but I just feel like it has never really been properly promoted in North America.
How well, though? Lots of guys tried to do it. Lots of people. It was on ESPN when ESPN was the biggest, fucking most powerful, sports network on cable, and it didn't have all the competition that it has now, and it just never worked. And yeah, I know it's like saying, when you say, it did well in the Netherlands, it's like saying Muay Thai did great in Thailand. It's like, okay, but it doesn't translate to the rest of the world.
That's it for me.
All right. You guys done with me? Have a good night.
He does have an AC
Well, first and foremost, congratulations. Obviously, you're officially part of the UFC now, so what are the emotions for you?
Primeiro de tudo, parabéns. Agora você é oficialmente parte do UFC e as emoções, como é que estão?
Pô, não sei nem descrever, né? A realização de um sonho. Estou muito feliz, estou em êxtase até agora. Não dá para acreditar, tá caindo a ficha só agora. Mas como eu falei, muito feliz e a realização de um sonho.
I'm kind of speechless. It's just a dream come true. I'm ecstatic right now. Just very happy to be here, and it's again just so happy. And it hasn't dawned on me yet, but as I said, a dream come true, and being in the UFC.
And it was an incredible fight as well. I know you said you were expecting a battle, but what do you think of your performance? You proved victorious, but very much tested tonight.
Primeiro de tudo, uma batalha, foi realmente uma grande luta e foi uma guerra, como você falou. E de qualquer maneira, a tua performance. Como é que foi? Porque foi muito boa.
Então, eu vim preparado para tudo, né? Me preparei da melhor maneira possível, porque eu já esperava uma luta bem parelha. Foi realmente uma guerra, mas acho que não podia ser diferente. Eu estava aqui pronto para o que Deus tinha preparado para mim e, graças a Deus, foi essa vitória aí, mais valorizada do que nunca, né?
Yes, we came prepared for anything that could happen, and obviously prepared for war just like it was. And as it turns out, as I said, I came for expecting what God had prepared for me, and I mean it's a win it's got even much more value for how it was.
You're still so young, but to be in the UFC now, but you've been fighting professionally since you were a teenager. So I guess what does it mean for you to be in here this early in your career, but yet have the test that you've had?
Você é tão jovem, mas você tem lutado desde a tua adolescência, você tem uma carreira longa. E o que significa para você estar aqui tão jovem, mas já com tanta experiência e com tudo que você fez até hoje?
Então, eu comecei a treinar muito jovem, né? Comecei a treinar com 6 anos. Aí, com 8, decidi que eu queria lutar MMA. E desde então, meus pais sempre me apoiaram. Então, desde essa época, eu botei na minha cabeça que eu ia estar aqui dentro do UFC. E, graças a Deus, hoje estou aqui, mesmo muito jovem, com uma bagagem importante aí. Lutas duras, então acredito que é o momento certo para eu estar aqui.
Yeah, I started training at 6 years old, and then I decided to move on to MMA at 8 years old. And ever since that happened, I set my goals and said that I was going to be in the UFC. And obviously, being so young and having all that, all that experience is very important. And I'm ready. I feel ready to be in the UFC.
That's awesome. Last thing for me, what do you see as the ideal path for you into the UFC? I mean, as you said, young, but a lot of experience. You're in a very deep division, so is it a slow ride? Do you want to make an immediate impact in the rankings? How do you see this going?
E minha última pergunta aqui, qual é o caminho que você vê para esse teu início de carreira no UFC? Obviamente, uma pessoa com experiência, jovem, mas com experiência, mas mesmo assim uma divisão que está carregada, que está lotada de talento. Você pensa assim, poxa, o ranking quanto mais cedo possível, ou vou começar constante, vou cavando meu lugar? Como é que você vê teu caminho?
Cara, eu tô aqui para fazer o que o Dana quiser. Quero ser o funcionário do mês aí. Quanto antes ele me colocar para lutar, tô pronto. É o que eu amo fazer. Eu faço isso minha vida inteira, treino se deixar 24 horas por dia. Então é o que eu gosto de fazer. Quanto antes eu puder lutar. Tô sabendo que tem um card aí em dezembro, em Orlando. Seria um prazer para mim conhecer a Disney.
Wow, I got caught off. So been working. I understand that this is. I came here to work. Whatever Dana says, I'm ready to go. I want to be the employee of the month, and I just whatever they say, I'll be ready to fight. It's what I love to do. I train all the time. If I could, I just train 24 hours a day. I never stop. And I heard there's a card in Orlando at the end of the year, and I would love to see Disney.
Parabéns. Michael Bisping was on the broadcast team tonight, and he mentioned that you showcased the potentials of a future champion in there. What does it mean to hear that from someone like him?
Parabéns, antes de tudo. O Michael Bisping falou durante a transmissão que você é um cara que tem potencial para ser campeão no UFC. O que significa para você escutar do Michael Bisping que você tem potencial para ser campeão?
Pô, tô sabendo agora que ele falou isso, né? Então é um cara que eu sempre acompanhei, sempre joguei com ele lá no videogame, né? O Hall da Fama aí. Para mim é sem palavras ouvir isso dele. Acredito que eu tenho potencial para isso sim e vou me esforçar muito para isso.
Just found out that actually he said that. It's a guy that I admire so much. I used to play him a lot in the video game. Hall of Famer guy. It's like, to me, he's just so special. And I will be and I'll work extra to actually make that happen.
Are there any other guys you looked up to in this career?
Mais alguns caras além do Michael Bisping que você se inspirou na tua carreira?
Com certeza, diversos. Jorge St-Pierre, Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida. Mas as pessoas que eu mais me inspiro, claro, tem os famosos, mas os que eu mais me inspiro são que estão do meu lado ali, meus companheiros de tatame, eles me inspiram bastante.
Yeah, there's so many of them, as GSP, Anderson Silva, Lyoto Machida. But I know besides the famous guys, there's so many people that I draw inspiration from. The ones that are next to me on the mat, they're a huge source of inspiration for me.
Awesome. Thank you.
What do you want to see most at Disneyland?
O que você quer ver mais na Disney World?
Disney World, sorry.
Cara, acredito que tudo, né? Meus pais já foram conhecer do Japão. Meus pais moraram lá um tempo, mas eu nunca conheci, então para mim vai ser tudo novidade lá. Mas eu quero ir lá e dar show para galera lá.
I think everything. My parents had the opportunity to go to Disneyland, Tokyo, in Japan. But I think that everything. I just want to be there and see everything and put on a show for the people there.
Hope you get to see it.
Espero que a gente consiga ver.
Obrigado.
Save it for after. Yes.
Emotional support only.
Well, congratulations on securing a UFC contract. We see the big smile, but what are the emotions like for you right now?
Thank you. I'm so happy. You can't even imagine. I've waited so much to this, and win this contract it's changing everything in my life. So I'm so happy.
Very nice. Second time around, of course, was there any lessons that you learned or things that you did different this time because of the previous experience that helped you tonight?
Yes, I think I grow a lot in my personal life since the fight, and I need to learn too many things that I have an idea in that time, and learn all those things clearly make all the difference right now, because I think I'm a person with the mind in the right place now, and this count too much on this fight, because I get in there and I knew that I need to show all my potential, all I got to get the contract, and that was what I did.
Yeah. You got the finish, but certainly not an easy fight. She was a very difficult opponent. Were you expecting that type of fight, and how did you feel about your performance?
Yes, I've told to my coach backstage that I knew I was going to be hurt in the fight. I knew that because I knew she was a striker too, and I need to say that in the first round, my pride makes a lot in my head, because I could take her down before, but I'd like to see my hand get in there and she feeling my hand, and I just couldn't do that in the last minutes of the first round. So if I put my head in the right way before, I think I could have finished the fight sooner. But but it's okay. We go to the second round. I talked to him in the break, and I got my head straight, and I came to the second round with all the strategy ready, and I got the takedown, and it was amazing.
Very nice. Last thing for me, I'm sure you want to celebrate this moment and everything, but you've got a UFC debut to make, right? So do you have plans for that? Do you want to try to get it in before the end of this year? Do you need a break and maybe look to next year? What's the plan for you?
So I really like to fight this year yet, but now I'm gonna have a break about 1-2 weeks to relax a little. I've came into a very long camp since the beginning of the year, and I'm gonna take that break, but I'm ready to when they need me, I'm here, and I hope I can make a fight before the year is finished.
Drew over here.
Hello.
Your opponent in your first outing in the Contender Series is fighting this weekend. Just want to see if you're going to catch your fight, and is that one that you'd like to run back now that you're both in the UFC?
So she's a different class weight than mine, and I don't know if I fit very well on the flyweight. But if there's a chance, I would be proud to do the fight, of course.
What's the message you have for the new fans you gained today and just people that are going to tune into your fights?
First, I'd like to thank everybody that was watching the fight. And I really like to say that I came here to show that Brazil has so many talents and we are so strong in our way. And I really want to master this weight class because I'm here to show all my aggressivity and to win the belt sooner, I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats on the win.
Hello, thank you.
We saw how the fight played out, but what was your game plan going into this before it just the fire caught on and it was this firefight back and forth?
So I really wanted a knockout. We did this strategy, but I knew it was be difficult because she is a striker too. But after I talked to my coach that I was mentalizing that I was going to be hurt and I was going to have a knockout, but in the ground with ground and pound. And became almost like that, but when I saw that I wasn't going to have a knockout, I changed and I do a finalization, and it was so well. But my strategy was a knockout.
So was that, and just one follow-up, was that what the talk was in between rounds 1 and 2? Like, okay, let's just go to the mat, let's implement our game plan, we're stronger here, and also kind of catch your breath because that was amazing first 5 minutes.
Thank you. And yes, we talked this in the break because he knew what was going on to me. He knew me very well, and he told me, stop with that and go to the strategy because this will work. And that's what I did. I really put my head back on the game, and it was amazing because I won the fight, but I'm really upset with myself because I could have this sooner. I really could.
Well, excellent. Congratulations on the win and on the contract.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
It took a while, but you got it done. I guess, man, just what's the emotion like? I'm sure you're still processing a little bit, but to finally get the contract, what's the feel for you?
Well, the contract aspect, it's been a very long road for me, man. And, it's been, I think, 4 years since my first Contender Series fight. So, I just had to keep going, man. You know, that was the main thing. I knew there was a lot of pressure coming into this fight. You know, I had to finish this fight. It was my third time around, you know. So I went in there with that mindset, man. Kill or be killed. And it's funny because that wasn't my game plan going into tonight. My game plan was stick, move, because AJ's a tough guy, man. You know, stick, move, float on my feet. But I don't know what it was. I just said, you know, I'm going to bite down on my mouthpiece right now, and I'm going to throw. And we're going to see who stands and who falls.
Awesome. You know, along the way, you know, was there ever any part of you that was like, man, I'm not going back there again? Like, this is silly. Like, I mean, it's hard to come back and do it over and over again. Was there ever a part where you thought, like, maybe this isn't going to happen for me?
Absolutely, man. Like, you know, obviously I've seen my teammates, everybody's in the UFC at Fortis, and like, you know, being on the Contenders twice and winning and still not getting the contract. And, you know, I was in a dark space for a little bit, you know, and I didn't really know where to go at that point. But, you know, I have the best coach. I have the best manager, Jason House, Coach Safe, my family, my girlfriend, everybody that has supported me just tells me, just keep going, you know. And because of them, I'm where I'm at now. And here we are talking to you.
Fight tonight was insane. I mean, what did you think of your performance overall and just the war that it was out there?
You know, I fought a little bit dumb. I kind of, I went in there and I kind of just slugged it out. Like I said, that wasn't my game plan, but, you know, I got the job done, and I'm just going to go back to the drawing board right now, man, and just continue to get better. I was planning on throwing some more kicks, but shout out to my wrestling coach, Kyle Crutchmer. We've been working on our takedown defense, and, you know, it showed off tonight, for sure.
Not a bad coach to have. Last thing for me, you know, the dream is here, but now it's just starting, right? So, I mean, what's the plan as far as debut? I'm sure you want a little time to recover after a war like that. But, you know, is there like a need to make up for lost time? Do you feel like you want to get in there as soon as possible, or what's the plan for your debut?
You know, right now, I'm not thinking about the debut quite yet. I definitely do want to come back and be a better version than I was tonight. I'm going to watch the fight. I'm going to study it. I'm the student of the game. Like I said, this is my life, and I'm going to look at the tape and see what I can work on better, and then whenever me and my coaches and my managers talk, we'll figure out a good time to come back, and I'll be a lot better than I am tonight.
Hey, Steven.
My man, Alex.
You kind of alluded to it, but like it was really you and Abdul as the two guys that like weren't in the UFC, right? Like you guys were always like the monsters in the gym that didn't get to the UFC. Now you're in the UFC. How's that feel?
It feels good. You know, like Abdul, me and him just had a conversation last night. We were just talking about, you know, like how he felt in his fight camp, how he felt coming into the fight the days before the fight. And, you know, we both had very similar feelings. Like me and him were very close. And, you know, his energy, I fed off of that, you know, and I came in tonight just cool, calm, and collected. And when it was time to go, it was time to go, man, you know.
Would it be safe to say, like, seeing him get that contract really, like, got you going?
Absolutely, man. This, you know, he's the, I think Coach just made him the captain of the lightweights now. So, you know, he's leading the team, and I'm right behind him.
Did you feel when you rushed in there like you had not fought since your last fight?
Yeah. So, you know, it's been, I think, about almost 2 years since I fought. But I said in my interview before, I never stopped training. You know, there's a few fights that fell through in between that I wanted to get on, like some Fury and stuff like that. But I kept training and I kept getting better, you know, and I didn't feel rusty in there tonight. I didn't feel tired. So it felt great being in there again.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Talk to us about the value of that, about the value of not having to train for a particular opponent, but getting almost 2 years of just making yourself better.
Yeah, you know, like there's a few things I did. You know, I built my own business as well. I'm a personal trainer, and I have a great business around me with a lot of clients. So training them helped me train my mind, and training my mind, you know, relates into my physical. And I continue to train and just worked on my own skills, my jiu-jitsu, my wrestling, my striking, everything like that. And I focus on my life. I focus on my life and bettering my life, you know, and then that helps me with my fighting. So.
And you see this guy, AJ Cunningham. I mean, he's been 5-round fight, never been finished before.
Yeah.
Obviously, performance and getting a finish is so vital to getting a contract on the show, as you well know from this being your third appearance. So when you see tape on this guy, how much extra pressure do you put on yourself to try to get that finish and be the first guy to finish AJ Cunningham?
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, as soon as I took the fight and I was watching his fight, I was like, damn, this guy's tough, man. Like, this guy has never been finished. He's been in wars, and he's finished other guys. He's been in, like, wars where he finished the guy in, like, the last 30 seconds with the choke, you know? So, but that's why I trained so hard. I took 13-week training camp. I didn't go see my family. I miss my family so much, but I couldn't see them. I missed out on so many sacrifices, you know, that I did for this training camp. I really zoned in. I didn't do interviews, anything like that. I just knew I had to dig deep down, not on top of just having a tough opponent, but just, you know, for myself, knowing that this is possibly my last chance of possibly even go to the UFC because it's my third time. So I just had to dig deep in there tonight.
And lastly, how hard was it at the end of the first round to focus on a second round, knowing that he could have been finished?
Yeah, I saw him drop, and I for a second I thought it was going to be over. You know, I was like, man, but you know, my coach is like, get over here. You know, my coach just keeps me on my toes all the time. He's like, get over here, you know, get back to the game plan, go back out there and finish the fight in the second round.
It keeps everyone on his toes. Thank you much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on the win there. Were there any takeaways or lessons that you learned from those first and second showings on the Contender Series that helped you get that result today and finally overcome that hurdle of getting the UFC contract?
Yeah, man. You know, I say the first fight, I thought the guy was going to take me down the whole time. So I was just so much more inexperienced back then. And then like the second fight, I felt like I was playing a little safe. I just wanted to get the win. I wanted to just get that win back. And now I feel like it's come full circle, man. I know what I needed to do tonight. And in this whole training camp, that's what I told myself. I know what I needed to go in there and do tonight, and that was finish the fight.
And back to tonight's fights, I noticed you talking to your opponent during the fight. What was going on through your mind during those sequences? Were you like in the flow state, or what was it?
Yo, when I was talking to him, I was trying to. We were banging in there, so I was just saying, "Come on, man, let's go, come on!" Like, and you know, like I said, I don't normally go and have wars like that, but there was something in me, man. A demon came out tonight, man. I was like, you know what? Let's fucking have a war, and that's what we did. And I was like, let's go. I had a little bit of Sean Strickland moment.
And you mentioned there that this could have maybe been your last chance to get into the UFC. Obviously, it takes a lot of mental toughness to be in this spot. Do you have any advice or just a message to someone else that may be in your position, maybe not just in sports, but in life in general?
Just honestly, for anybody that's going through anything right now, like in life in general, just like, and I know it sounds cliche, just never give up. I've been through so much, man. Like, I got knocked out my first Contender Series fight. I won my second one and still didn't get signed. And then, like, I got injuries. I couldn't fight for two years. Like, I've been through so much, but I never gave up. I never gave up. This has been my dream since I was 15 years old, and I never gave up. Look at my face. Like, I've been through so much wars in the gym, injuries, everything like that. But perseverance, man, that's what's going to get you through it. And if anybody ever feels some type of way, please reach out to me, and I'll help them out. I have clients that have gone through so much stuff too, losing weight or whatever, and I'm here to talk to them, you know, and I just want to let anybody that is out there know that.
Great message, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys.
Congratulations on securing a UFC contract. I guess just give us the emotions that you're having right now, knowing that you got the deal.
Parabéns por assegurar esse contrato. Emoções gerais por ter conquistado esse contrato, por favor.
Guys, I'm very happy. I really cannot say how I'm feeling today with words. I'm on UFC, you know. I have no words for explain this for you, the guys today.
Nice. Big knockouts are nothing new for you, but I mean, this was on a big stage, a big moment. So was this a special highlight for you?
That knockout is so special for me because this situation is special, you know. I was fighting with a friend of Dana White, and man, the so pressure, you know. This, of course, will be the special highlight for me.
And a battle. So, I mean, you get things done early, but you guys went at it right away. Were you expecting it to be that type of fight where you're just swinging at each other right away?
A luta começou, pega para capar, todo mundo foram para tudo, nada logo no começo. Você esperava que a luta já fosse tão intensa logo no início dela?
Yes, I didn't wait for that in the fight because I know that in the heavyweight division, everybody's strong, everybody's dangerous, everybody's tough for 3 minutes, you know. If you have the good mentality for make a right game plan, that's it, you know. We make a good plan for this fight, and the result was this.
Yeah. Obviously, still kind of new in your MMA experience, but you have high-level combat sports experience. So, how do you see your journey in the UFC? Is it a slow rise where you have to, you know, learn the game, or do you feel you can compete at a high level right away?
I don't care about against who you fight. You know, if you give me one top guy for a fight, I will face him because for my whole life on kickboxing, I'm fighting against tough guys, and like that, I don't care against who I will fight. If UFC give me an easy fight, I will do. If you give me a hard fight, I also will do. You know. I'm here for work, and I don't care against who you fight.
Nice. Last question for me. When would you like to make your UFC debut? Would you hope that it's this year sometime? Do you need some time off? When do you think you'll make your debut?
I think then I don't get hurt, you know. I'm 100%. And if you give me a fight as soon as possible, I'll be ready to this.
You have a message for the rest of the heavyweight division that watched your fight tonight?
Alguma mensagem para o resto dos pesos pesados que assistiram a tua luta hoje?
I just have one message to all heavyweights on my division. The bad dreams is coming. I'm the most dangerous heavyweight that are coming to this division.
Thank you.
I just got one for you. In the first round there, when your opponent was kind of getting cocky and he was putting his hand up and looking off, how satisfying was it for you when you got the knockout?
Só uma pergunta dele. Logo no primeiro round, quando ele começou a ficar um pouco, parecia que ele estava tirando onda, estava arrogante, fazendo assim, olhando lá para fora, fazendo sinal com a mão. Não sei se percebeu isso e se percebeu o quão satisfatório é ganhar do jeito que você ganhou depois que uma pessoa faz isso?
Yes, I didn't see when he was joking with me in the fight, but I have almost 100 fights, you know. I have experience enough for see these things and don't give a shit. That's it. When he was playing with me, I say, okay, you play and I fight. I'm knock you out. That's it. Thank you, guys.
Bienvenido. El agua está ahí, todas que están al lado tuyo son aguas, esas latitas, si quiere agua. Dale. Parece energético, pero es agua.
Congratulations on securing your UFC contract. I'm sure you're processing it a little bit, but what are the emotions like for you?
Primero de todo, felicidades por asegurar ese contrato con la UFC. Me imagino que estás procesando todo en tu cabeza, pero ¿cómo te sientes ahora?
Sí, la verdad que sabía que esto iba a pasar en algún momento de mi carrera. Solamente era cuestión de tiempo, trabajo duro y se logró. Se logró, ahora ya estamos en el UFC y ahora empieza otra etapa.
Obviously happy. I knew this was going to happen at some point in my career, and we're able to achieve it. And now, hey, we're here in the UFC, and now another stage of my career starts.
I love it. A dominant victory for you tonight. Unable to get the finish, though. I mean, a very, very tough opponent. I guess, how did you feel about your performance, and was it frustrating when the guy just wouldn't go away?
Obviamente una victoria dominante, aunque no haya finalizado. Intentaste todo, el tipo era duro. ¿Cómo te sientes acerca de tu desempeño a lo largo de la noche por el resultado y todo?
Sí, creo que Malik Lewis fue un rival muy duro. Traté de finalizarlo en todos los rounds. Supo manejar las situaciones. Cuando él estuvo herido no se desenfocó, no buscó la manera de irse del combate, sino estuvo ahí poniendo cara y se respeta, se respeta. Nada, agradecido con el UFC y por la oportunidad.
Yeah, listen, tough opponent. I tried to finish him off in every single one of the 3 rounds. Malik Lewis is a very tough opponent. I mean, there were moments out there that I feel that he managed the situation so well. He didn't lose focus. He was just there, very tough, and I'm just feeling grateful to the UFC to have this opportunity.
And you ended what was a crazy night of fights. Were you watching the other action unfold earlier in the night, and did that put any pressure on you or change your mindset of what you had to do tonight?
Y bueno, tu pelea finalizó una noche loca de peleas. No sé si tuviste la oportunidad de ver las otras peleas. Fue algo que sí tuviste la oportunidad de verlas. ¿Sabe lo cuánto loco fue lo que pasó? Y si subiste algo o se subiste de algo, ¿eso te pone presión para hacer tu trabajo cuando llega tu pelea?
La presión siempre está. Pude ver algunos momentos de las peleas de mis compañeros. La fila roja creo que hoy día salió vencedora. Todos los peleadores de la esquina roja lograron el contrato y feliz por ellos también. Feliz por ellos y nada, disfruten, que lo disfruten.
The pressure is always there. I was able to see some highlights here or there of the fights. I think the red corner went 5-0. Every single one of the winners was red corner.
Right.
Was that true?
That's true. Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, very happy for them. And enjoy your night.
Nice. Last thing for me, you're here, but now you got to make the debut. I know you've already fought 3 times this year, so I guess what is the plan? Do you need some time off now, or do you want to fight right away to make your debut? How do you see it playing out?
Y mi última pregunta, bueno, estás acá, pero peleaste ya 3 veces el año, o sea, este año. Tu debut, ¿cuál es la mejor situación? ¿Quieres estar activo ahora? ¿Cuál es tu escenario ideal para hacer tu debut en la UFC este año todavía?
Sí, quiero seguir escalando, quiero pelear con los mejores, por eso estoy aquí. Eventualmente voy a pelear por el título, siento que eso está cada vez más cerca, lo vengo buscando hace tiempo. Y nada, vamos a escalar poco a poco. De repente, si Dios quiere, puedo pelear a finales de año o a inicios de año. Lo importante es pelear más seguido.
I'm here I can face any of them of the best. I can go toe-to-toe with any of them. I want to remain active. We want to go step by step and just kind of, building our way up to the top. I want to be a champion. And yes, if they want me to fight towards the end of the year, I can do it. Or start of the year, whenever they want it, we're gonna be here. We're gonna continue to fight.
I've just got one question for you. Dana says he thinks you can change that tattoo to say UFC. How soon are you going to do that, if at all?
Solo una pregunta. Dana hizo comentario que tal vez sería una idea interesante cambiar este tatuaje para UFC. Primero de todo, ¿cuánto rápido puedo hacerlo? Y si podrías hacerlo.
Creo que es imposible. Este tatuaje representa mucho para mí. Como te dije, ha marcado un antes y un después en mi carrera y en mi camino como peleador. Imposible cambiarlo.
¿Otro tatuaje entonces?
Puede que sí, más adelante, de repente, quién sabe. No estoy seguro ahora, no lo he pensado. Es la primera vez que me lo hice, así que nada.
As I said, no, it's impossible because this marks a moment in my life of a before and after in my career. So I'm just very grateful to them. So I wouldn't change it. I'm not thinking of any new tattoos. I asked them just, a new one. No, right now, not for now, but I haven't thought about it yet.
What if Dana says that's a deal breaker? You have to do it.
Y si el jefe te dice, mira, el negocio está cerrado, tiene que hacerlo, ¿lo haces?
Lo voy a pensar,
I'll think about it. I will think about it.
Thank you.
Over here.
Gracias a ti.
Congratulations on the win. It seems like I'm congratulating a Peruvian fighter every week now. What's in the water out there, man? It seems like we're getting more and more Peruvian talent come out here to the UFC.
Primero de todo, felicidades. Me parece que estoy felicitando un peleador peruano toda la semana. ¿Qué hay en el agua de Perú que están peleando como están peleando ustedes?
Creo que la escena peruana está creciendo. En estos años, como ustedes ya saben, ha habido mucho peleador peruano que ha ido dando que hablar. Ahora se suma uno más. Más adelante, quién sabe, vengan otros más porque sé que así va a ser. Y en Perú hay bastante nivel, hay mucho nivel. Ahora en adelante van a poder ver más peleadores, como te digo. Creo que las puertas se están abriendo. Y eso es todo. Eventualmente van a haber más peleadores peruanos representando en el UFC.
I think the Peruvian fight scene is growing, it's evolving. I think there's a lot of fighters in Peru that'll give you something to talk about. I think you will see more and more. There's a lot of level. There's a high level of fighting in Peru, and I think you should be seeing more fighters coming up in the future. We have some very good fighters out there, and you'll see some more. And we've added another one to it.
Y una en español. Cada vez estamos viendo más peleadores latinos llegar a la UFC. ¿Cómo se siente ver la presencia latina crecer en la UFC?
A question in Spanish. Obviously, more and more we see fighters from Latin America in the UFC. How do you feel, and what do you feel? How do you see so many Latin American fighters in the UFC?
El peleador latino creo que tiene una sangre guerrera. Venimos desde abajo, no nos importa nada. Sabemos lo que es pelear día a día y creo que esto es un reto que nosotros lo vivimos siempre, en todo momento. Entonces, no hay ningún temor, no hay ningún obstáculo que nos impida pelear. Peleamos porque está en nuestra sangre.
The Latin fighter has warrior blood. We fight every day. I mean, we have to fight every day. It's a challenge to us. We see it all the time. We are not afraid. We don't see any problems with challenges or anything of the sort. We will always fight, no matter what, because it's in our blood.
Y ya con todos los peruanos entrando a la UFC, ¿te gustaría ver un evento UFC Perú algún día?
And with so many Peruvian fighters in the UFC, would you like to see an event in Peru someday?
Claro que sí, estaría de lujo. Creo que reventaría un evento en UFC en Perú. Nos vendría bien a nosotros los peruanos que venimos buscando hace tiempo algo así tan grande como un evento de UFC.
Yeah, it'd be amazing for us to actually see. I mean, an event in Peru would be, just an amazing event. It would be great for Peru and for all of us that they're looking for a spot in the UFC and they love the UFC.
Felicitaciones.
Gracias.
Felicidades, man, con el triunfo. Obviamente, esta es tu era, este capítulo de tu carrera que puedes lograr agarrar el contrato, pero ¿qué más emocionante es esta época de tanto talento en el UFC que es latino? ¿Es algo que te podrías haber imaginado cuando comenzó tu carrera de pelear en la jaula?
congratulations on this new stage of your career, and obviously for having gotten the contract. Did you ever think, with so much talent coming from Latin America and the current scene right now, when you started way back, did you think that it could be the way it is right now for Latin American fighters?
Te cuento que siempre hubo comentarios de que en algún momento peleadores peruanos iban a dar la talla en el UFC, pero de repente las oportunidades no fueron las mismas para los peleadores de la época anterior, ¿no? Ahora, con toda esta exposición que hay, nosotros que somos, por así decirlo, la nueva generación, hay mucho más exposición, hay más personas que nos pueden ver, los tiempos han cambiado y ahora se está dando que hablar mucho del peleador peruano, y no solamente del peleador peruano, sino del peleador latino.
I think that for a long time, I heard that we were told that Peruvian fighters someday would come to the UFC, and I think that the opportunities perhaps were not there as much as there are now, and I think that now we're beneficiaries of I guess this new generation of which I belong, the fact that we actually have this chance. So we're very happy about the fact that not only more Peruvian fighters are coming into the UFC, but also there are more opportunities for Latin American fighters to be here.
Excelente. Y finalmente para mí, ya que estás hablando con la prensa, ya continúa la carrera, ojalá que te veamos como dijiste, en enero, diciembre. Alguien que te está viendo ahorita, en este momento, en su infancia, a él o ella, ¿qué le dices para que no se agüiten y digan, no, es un sueño loco, es algo que no puede hacer, mejor me doy por vencido?
And finally, for me, you're here in the UFC. This is a new stage of your life. You're here, you're ready to make your debut, whether it's towards the end of the year or towards the start of the next year. What message do you have out there for kids that think that this dream is so far out there that is virtually impossible, that I'm not going to be able to make this? It's too much for me to get into the UFC.
Le diría que no se distraiga, que no se desenfoque, que crea en ese sueño, que trabaje por lo que quiere, porque eventualmente si uno trabaja a conciencia y trabaja de verdad por algo que siempre soñó, lo va a lograr. Te lo digo porque yo lo visualicé, trabajé por eso y ahora estoy aquí. Siempre visualizaba y comentaba a mi familia, a mis amigos, a mis compañeros que en algún momento me iban a ver en el UFC, y lo acabo de lograr y estoy feliz por eso. Le diría eso, que se enfoquen y que no se distraigan de lo que quieren conseguir.
I would say don't lose track of where you want to be. Don't lose focus. Keep working hard. Don't give up. Because I have always done this. I mean, I say it for myself because I always envisioned this. I've always manifested being in the UFC, and here I am. I made it. So this is what I would tell people: just don't lose track of things. Don't lose focus, and keep working, and you'll get there.
Gracias, man. Y felicidades.
Gracias.